Hey, good morning, traders. So it does look like my theory on bonds finding right here at anchored VWAP support bouncing here. So it looks like they pushed up yields going into the bank earnings, and now we're resolving back to the other direction. So that's pretty much what it looks like to me. It was like window dressing for yields to pump these uh, bank stocks up. They were using the bonds to help pump up those bonds, pump up the bank stocks. So be very mindful what's going on here. But yeah, we're continuing to come off of that support on the ZNs this morning. Carry trade seems to be stable this morning. Hasn't really done anything in the past 24 hours. The U.S. dollar is continuing its ascent, but we are in the fair value gap area, so this could fail at any moment. That would could potentially be bullish. At least we're not breaking out into a new trading range. So got to be really careful on trying to trade the downside as the dollar could revert back lower here in this fair value gap area. ESs, I did float the idea of potentially losing everything we put in Monday, uh, yesterday, which we did do that. That was in yesterday morning's morning brief video. We came back down to the shortest time frame fair value or anchored VWAP support. We came right back into that yesterday, and also this blue checkered line right there. This is the October trend from the October 1st. No, wait, September 1st. September 1st trend. So, this was the August 1st trend. And so we are crossing over into September 1st's trend, suggesting that this was a blow off top area. We might be crossing into the bearish side of trend. Uh, so it looks like to me we could have very easily, from the lows of August, that we have hit a very critical peak point in the markets, which could definitely break out to higher prices. But it does look like to me we could have very easily be hitting a peak in markets here. So be very careful. So from here, our main test, guys, right down here is our October open, and it's right here at the 5750. So that is our main test point, and this could go fairly fast down. So be very mindful there. But 5750 would be our critical back test area in the market. So be very mindful of that. That would be are very critical. And considering the next 2-3 weeks into the election are ripe with very chances for very high volatility, this is a very possible scenario setting up here. Real quick rundown here for the NQs. This is actually behaving worse than the ESs. We have not broken out to new all-time highs. We hit the fair value gap near the all-time highs, rejected hard, a much deeper sell-off yesterday. And then based on trend from like the August trend, uh, you know, we're rejecting a much harder away from that, and we're already back down into the September trend support area. So, yes, this area can be supported. We can build out sideways. There's definitely a possibility of that, and at least we're not gapping down that this morning. So this can definitely be a supported area. Ideally, the 20,000 is a critical magnet back down to the 20,000 area. That would be the October open print right around 20,000. So that could very well be what we're setting up to do here. Like I said, could be very difficult going into the election here. So definitely keep this on watch. This is acting much weaker than the S&Ps. The Russell is actually looking much better. You see how the trends are more uniform between August and September. The trends are more uniform. We're breaking through a critical resistance zone, uh, and we closed above that critical resistance zone yesterday. Uh, I think so. We closed right at the high of that resistance zone, and we're gapping above it this morning. So be very mindful of that. We continue to have trouble at this fair value gap high. So we're not gapping above that. So the risk reward, the closer we get to that, it's still the risk reward is to short the pops, in my opinion. But this is looking much more constructive to the upside. And we are holding the September trend. So definitely some takeaways there we got to look at here. Now on the downside, if the markets were to start getting ugly here, which is a potential, you're looking around the 2215 area. The 2215 area is possibly a retrace that would take us right back down into this low area here, a potential retrace. If we do start seeing some volatility, we continue to hear bad news out of Europe, so heads up on that. Semis are heading steady early on this morning since yesterday's disaster sell-off. So what I'd be looking at right here, and right here is the October open on the semis. That would be see if that becomes new resistance right here for the semis. Let me put this little white one on there. So this is the current month. So this is acting a lot worse than what you have on the main indices. So be mindful of that. Go down to smaller time frame. Now 2 hour before. Zoom in. So you see how price is acting early on this morning. We broke back into the October trading range. This wedging pattern formation right here. So as long as we're underneath this trend line, this is more bearish to markets. So be very mindful of that. And this is our potential buy zone down here around the October open. So all things are leaning that the semis are going to continue to falter here into this week. So be very mindful and be very careful to the long side. Okay, we did have earnings out of one of our first semiconductors last night, ASML in European. We are losing this prior uh, untested volume point of control this morning, opening around the 703 area. So we're currently trading below a very critical support area. So that suggests that we have an untested volume point of control with this trend line all lining up down here around the 677 area. So be very mindful of that. We could be on the road to 677 here on ASML. Let's be careful here. On the smaller time frames, my charts actually show us tagging the trend line right here. So 677, that would put us down to here on the bigger time frames. So we might actually just get a little bit more sell side action this morning. Let's see here, daily 3-minute. Yeah, see, our daily charts show that we haven't hit that trend line yet. See that trend line? Okay. Heads up on that. Okay. That pretty much. Okay. So bottom line is the market webs. This is suggestive that the downside pattern has not completed. Generally, you're looking for a move back into these untested volume point controls. We got reason to think that we might be into a trend support possibly, but in general, I would be looking more to the downside. Okay, guys, so Monday near the close, I took a short and at the fair value gap area, above the fair value gap area here on the video, which worked out really good for me yesterday morning, but I got out way too early. Came down really nice to 130 area. Very critical support for NVIDIA. This is where prior massive call open interest was sitting. So for the bulls, you need to really hold that 130 area, because otherwise the option makers are getting paid big time, keeping price under that 130 for Friday's expiration. So that's what's really going on here. In my opinion, the option makers going into the rest of this week have the control of the market, and it is most likely that they're going to suppress price this week and get like Nvidia under 130 into Friday's expiration. The Donald Trump media explosive move did not last. And on a side note, guys, this these polls that are saying that Donald Trump is gaining ground on the Democrats, and you should not be really paying attention to the polls this late in the game into the election. What happens is if the pollsters that are pro-Democrat, uh, are wanting to, they embellish do the opposite of embellishing for the opposition just late in the game. So basically, they got a pretty good idea who are Republicans, who are Democrats, and they'll start cold calling those people for uh, a certain type of result. And the reason for that right now at this stage in the game to make Donald Trump sound better than what maybe he really is if Donald Trump sounds better, then fewer people might actually vote in his behalf, whereas more people from Pamela's camp will come out and vote because they think that she's falling behind. They think that their vote is more important. So this late in the game, it's the flip side of what you would think polls are actually about. It's more about trying to influence the voter, uh, you know, uh, psychologically. Okay. Okay, guys, Tesla's still holding the support right here at the 2020 area. Trying to find a direction here on Tesla by holding the support where it is. This is actually more of an accumulation area than a sell zone. So currently, Tesla is acting like it's accumulating for a move higher. Okay, currently, guys, the K-Web. So this is your China internet names. So we lost support just Monday on our K-Web. This is our Anchorage web support. This is still acting as resistance. In theory, you would think that you should be shorting the China internet. So be very mindful here. Below this area, you cannot really do anything on the K-Web unless we start getting about 3330 to the long side. So um, the problem is we've come down, we overshot just too much to be thinking to the long side. So it's quite risky to be trying to go because we did overshoot where we should have actually stopped, given knowing all the stimulus that we were getting out of China. Palantir yesterday, I actually had a swing short from Monday on Palantir. Uh, so be mindful on that. I still have a little bit of Palantir short running here. I think we're going to be coming into this trend line here. We came down, so we're not getting much of sell side action here, but we are rejecting right where I thought we would. We had a double top value point of, uh, uh, we had a nice rejection up here at the double top. On the 4 hour, it was very clear of a possible rejection area. So we're just not getting a lot of follow through yet. But I'm looking for a hard test of our September trend support. So it can go sideways or it can come down to it. Don't know which way is going to play out here. Okay. That's another one where way above our monthly call wall. So we could even come down and back test the 39 call wall very easily here this week. Important to note that Apple did break above critical support yesterday. And so far we're still holding above that critical support on the 1 hour. Now, if you go over to the daily, it's a whole different look at this candle. See how we looked above that support. This is not a big time browsing, but this was the only tech stock that was actually showing bullishness yesterday. Everything else looked like it was breaking the August trend line, and this is the only one. And look at the kind of candle that we closed the day out with. This is not a situation that I want to be overly bullish in Apple, given the price action that I've seen yesterday. Microsoft, bearish, as I said. September, rejected September, came down. Now we're testing the August low trend. So, we're at the bottom of this August low trend, threatening to break that side of the trend. AMD did resolve lower. I mentioned yesterday that it was possibly breaking down, and that's what it did in a violent manner. Already did NVIDIA. Tesla already did. Google. Um, right in the middle of no man's land on Google. Meta, I mentioned a possible weakness on Meta. It did still save support on Meta, and it's still holding it this morning as well. So, it's still holding this trend support on Meta. So, and we did look below it, and it was defended. So, be very mindful of that. Amazon came up, fair value gap, rejected, but it did close with a fairly strong candle. So be mindful of that. Netflix earnings are today, I think. Yeah, Netflix earnings are today. So seeing some weakness going into the numbers here. So heads up on that. 720 is a massive call wall that continues to get rejected here. Okay, let's see here. Palantir dead. Okay. Another one, which I can see the market makers keeping us under $47 on XLF to close out the week. There's a massive call wall there. That way, it would, a lot of OPEX. They try to do a positive gamma squeeze to close out the week. We've been seeing that for a while now. But this OPEX, it's October, it's the weakest month of the year. You have to think that the market makers probably got more power for this week's OPEX than what we've seen any other time this year. So you would think that positive gamma squeezes into Friday are likely to fail. So be very mindful of that. Please like my video if you get a chance, and let me check energy real quick before I leave. Not really getting anything. Yeah, please retweet me on Twitter if you get a chance. And, leave some comments below. Really appreciate it. And tell your friends about my videos. Bottom line is I am looking for them to uh, make sure the cap positive gamma squeezes to the upside this week. So just be very mindful of that. Bias should be a lot of opportunities to scout short to close out the week, in my opinion.